Okay, in this video, I'm going to go over how to create your turbine stand. We're going to use this dimension guide here. So if at any point in this video you realize or you think, I don't really need this video anymore. I've got it. I can do it with the dimensions. Then you should try to shift over and push your skills a bit. But anyway, here we go. Go ahead and open up a new file. So File, New, and open up a new file in CorelDRAW. And the first thing we want to do is we want to start with a workspace right there that is 6 inches by 6 inches. So it's probably going to default to 8.5 by 11. So change this to 6 and 6. All right, so now we have a 6 inch by 6 inch area. That's the amount of wood that we have to fit the whole thing in. So I've got some parts here, and we're going to replicate these parts each at a time. This first one is the base. This is the base here. And then we're going to do the tower. And then we're going to do this, this kind of rubber band attachment thing. And then these two cradles here where the generator, the motor is going to fit on top of that. So we'll start with the base. Okay, I'm going to shift over here. So it says start with a base shape that is 2.5 by 5.5. So they got some options here. There's ovals and rectangles and polygons and different kinds of things. I'm just going to start with a rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to change that dimension to 2.5 by 5.5. So 2.5 at the top and 5.5 at the bottom. And now we have our basic shape there. Okay, and then it says base slots are 0.12 by 0.5. So 0.12 by 0.5. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. And those base slots are these slots here. Well, I guess they're holes. So it's 0.12 by 0.5. So 0.12. 0.5, and then it says I need 2 of them, and the distance between the 2 base slots must be 1.75 inches. So I'm going to copy paste this by Control C, Control V, and I'm going to arrow it down. And it's going to be a little slow here, but so I've got this nudge set, but I'm going to arrow it down. Now the reason why I'm not just like dragging it is it has to stay in a straight line. So to just kind of force it to stay in a straight line, I'm just going to use my arrow keys and arrow it apart. Okay. Now the distance between these tabs or these slots has to be 1.75 inches apart right there. So I'm going to draw a dimension line. Dimension is the tool underneath the A here. And I'm going to go from that edge to that edge. And now at this point, I have it a distance of 0.380. I need it to be 1.75. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm just going to continue to arrow it down until this gets all the way to 1.75, which might take a little bit. So patience with that. Let me zoom out a little bit. 1.75. All right, there's 1.1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. 1.75. All right, 1.75 inches apart. Cool. All right, now I've got these correct at 1.750. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that dimension line. And I'm going to select these 2 objects, these 2 tabs here, and I'm going to group them. Control G. It's kind of important that you group these. Okay. Now later on, I'm going to need a second set of these for the bottom of my tower. So the bottom of the tower has to fit into the slots. So I'm going to just make a copy of these 2. So I'm going to Control C, Control V, and make a copy of these. And just kind of set it aside. We're going to need them. They're going to need them later. All right. Now where these go, they just want to go into the center. So you'll grab, since they're grouped, right? They're grouped. So grab it by the center and you'll drag it until you get to the center of your rectangle. And there it is. Now you could just use that base. It's kind of boring though. So we could do something to make this a bit more interesting. There's different kinds of design ideas. We could use a this tool here, a 3-point curve, and we can find a spot somewhere and drag out a curve like that, and we could slice that. Maybe it's a little more interesting to look at now because of that. Or alternatively, we could do a 3-point curve somewhere over here and kind of create a shape like that and do one on the other side that matches it. I don't know if I'm doing a great job of matching it, but we can create a little bit of a little style to this thing. Alternatively, we could have done something like an oval and put our 2 tabs inside that oval shape, as long as it is whatever that start was, 2.5 by 5.5. So I could make this 2.5 and make this 5.5. And then I could use that for my base floor instead and drag my 2 little tabs over onto that. Whoops. But you see the idea. Judging from this is the polygon here. So polygon is this tool, and I could use a polygon and create a shape that is 2.5 by 5.5 and 5.5, 5.5, enter. And then maybe I wanted this to be 6-sided. Okay, that could be kind of interesting. And something like that. And maybe what I end up doing is, doing some sort of a curve onto that and drag that in a little bit and do one on the other side. That could be kind of neat. And then delete those segments. And now I have a base shape that looks like that, right? So, you could do all sorts of interesting kinds of things with this shape-wise. So have a little bit of fun with it. But anyway, I'm just gonna stick with the one I have there. So I'll delete that one and I'll delete that one, all this stuff. All right, so there is my base. The other thing I want to put on this base is I want to put my name and period. So go to the text tool and type your name. And period 3 or whatever. And that needs to go somewhere on your design where it'll fit. If it's a little bit too small, you can kind of shrink it or stretch it and try to find a spot where it'll fit, something like that. The space in between these 2 tabs is going to have wood there. So if you were to take your name and put it right there, you're not going to see the name completely. You could also, if I wanted to, I could have done something like this, and then I could have rotated this. Oops. Sorry. Rotate it. Come on. Come on. It's being annoying. There we go. I rotated it maybe like that and placed it on the side here like that. Now that would be fine if it went there. I like that. So I've got my base. It is red hairlined, right? So the whole thing needs to be red hairlined. If you haven't done that, select everything except for the words, and you'll go down and you'll red hairline that. But I think we've already got it set up for red hairlining. So there it is. All right, so the base is all done. I'm gonna go ahead and select this base, and I'm gonna group it, Control G. And now the whole thing is one connected part. It is done. Okay, the base is finished. Let's move on to the tower. So start with a rectangle that is 2.75 by 4. I'm going to move these out of the way over here. Actually, I'm going to move this whole part out of the way and kind of put it over kind of in this done area. Okay, so start with a rectangle that's 2.75 by 4. Okay, I can do that. So 2.75 by 4. Enter. All right. You can use a 3-point curve for the swoop on the left and the swoop on the right. So the 3-point curve is, again, this tool right there. And to do this swoop, I'm just going to kind of go to about where it says midpoint. And I'm just going to kind of put a little curve in that. give a little bit of style, cut that. And then for this curve, the first thing actually I want to do is draw a rectangle, like a slot right about there, and kind of take that and put it maybe right about there, and go ahead and just slice that a little bit. And slice that little line there. That's going to create kind of a space where the turbine blade is going to be able to spin. Otherwise, the blade will smash into the tower. So I have to have a little bit of a cutout for the blade to it's going to spin in this little gap here. You can leave it square like that, but I sort of like a little bit of a curve that you can see there. So I'm going to add that little style by just kind of going like that and kind of create a little curve there. Give it a bit more style there. Okay, so there is that. The two cradle slots at the top are 0.12 by 0.27. So I'm reading my directions there. So 0.12 by 0.27. All right, so I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to make it 0.12, 0.12. And it says 0.27 inches deep. So 0.27 inches deep. And the two cradle slots. So I'm going to need a second one. So I'm going to take that one there, and I'm going to Control-C, Control-V, and arrow the second one over a little bit to move it over there. All right. All right. It says they should be 0.2 inches apart. So let me zoom in on these. And I'm going to use my dimension tool. And I want them to be 0.27 inches apart. So right now they're 0.147. So I'm going to make sure that these are 0.2 inches apart. 0.200. All right, cool. Now I've got that. I've got the dimension, the distance between these is 0.2, right? They should be 0.2 inches apart. And so now I'm going to go ahead and group these. So let me delete this dimension line. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to select these and group it, Control-G. And now I've got to place them up here on top of my tower here. Now they need to go kind of just the right spot. It says they should be 0.2 inches apart. We did that. And 0.15 inches from the front and flush with the top. So 0.15 inches from the front. This is the front side here. So I need to draw another dimension line. And they need to be, it says 0.15 inches. So they're a little bit too far away from the front there. So I'm going to move this over until they're 0.15. 0.15. That distance is important. So the generator has enough room to not smash into the side. And then we're going to bring this up until these two lines cross here. I know my dimension's getting kind of weird because it's getting angled, but all right, cool. Now I'm get them right so that they kind of meet up there. We don't want to go too far past it, right? We want the depth to be just right. So I'm going to go right about there, and I'm going to cut that dimension and that one there. I don't need this anymore, this dimension line anymore. But I'm going to double check that this distance is keep forgetting it. What is it? 0.15. So let me zoom in here and double check that this distance is 0.15. It is. I'm happy with that. I can delete that dimension line. This looks good. All right, that part is all done. Then it says the 0.12 by 0.60 slot. I'm on this step here. Needs to be centered below and far enough away from the tension to get tension on the rubber band. So that's this thing right here. It says mine is 2.3 inches from the bottom. So the distance from this thing to the bottom here is 2.3. So I'm going to go ahead and create that slot. It's 0.12 by 0.6. So rectangle, 0.12 by 0.6. And I'm going to put it right in between these two. So it's right smack in the middle, and then I'm going to just drop it down. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to drag it down here. I keep it pretty straight. All right. So it says somewhere far enough away to get tension. So this part isn't too specific. I'm just going to go with something around 2.3 inches. So that seems right. So I'm going to go ahead and create a little dimension line here and check it. And it's 1.76. So I'm going to move it back up until it is 2.3. 2.3, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, somewhere around there. Close enough. All right. Okay, 2.3 inches away. Looks good. That's all set. Remember that tip about a copy of the two base slots. So I'm on this step here. This step. Well, I did remember that tip. They're right there. All right. So now that you'll use them. If you forgot to do that, then you'll need to make two more. But the directions on how to do that are up here. So we're not going to do that because we were smart and we read our pro tip. All right. So now we're going to take this and we are going to rotate it 90 degrees. So we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. 90, enter. And it says rotate them and snap them to the bottom of the tower. So we're going to snap them to the bottom of the tower. So I'm going to grab this by that node right there, and I'm going to snap it to that edge. And if everything went well, these things should go right to the edge. And they certainly look like they do. So we did everything just perfect. So we can go ahead and cut that and cut that. And there is our tower. Delete all dimensions lines, red hairline everything, and group it. All right, it's all red hairlines. There's no more dimensions line. So let's go ahead and group it, Control G. And then it says critical, make sure that the tower and the base slots line up perfectly. Okay, let's double check that. So I'm going to take this tower and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm just going to make sure that the slots of this tower fit into the slots of my base, and see how they do, right? They just fit just right. So that and that are a perfect fit. Perfect. Right. If they don't fit, then you made a mistake somewhere. So you're going to want to have to go back and fix that, because these two tabs have to fit into those holes there, or your tower won't come together. All right. I'm going to re-rotate that back to 0. And this part is done. All right. Base is done. Tower is done. Anchor for the rubber band. Start with a rectangle that is 1.55 by 0.5. Okay. Start with a rectangle that is 1.55 by, what did I say? 0.5 inches. 0.5, enter. All right, I've done that step. The anchor slot should be, so that's the slot there, should be 0.12 wide, 0.22 deep, and mid-pointed flush on the top of the anchor. All right, so I need a slot that is 0.12 by 0.22. So I'll draw a rectangle. Is going to be 0.12 by 0.22. And it says it needs to be mid-pointed and flush. So let me zoom in on this thing. Mid-pointing. So to do that, I'm going to grab it by this node here in the middle. And I'm going to snap it to this edge. And I'm going to hover around until it says midpoint. Boom. Okay. Now I can cut that little segment there. And I have that. It's mid-pointed and it's flush. Perfect. Then it says you can use 3-point curves to create a pleasing shape. So this is kind of just stylistic, but I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and just maybe do one right about there and create a little curve. And I'll do another one. I'll try to match it just by eyeballing it. May not be perfect, but kind of close. All right. That looks good, and that looks good. That's fairly even, I'd say. The two circles, so these little circles down here at the bottom, can be any small dimension. They just have to secure the rubber band. I'm on this step now. But they should be about 0.8 inches apart, evenly spaced, and not too close to the edges. So I'll draw a little circle here. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the size of it. That seems about right. I don't know. Maybe I'll go 0.2 by 0.2, just to be even. Okay, and then I'm going to do a second one, copy paste, and I'm going to arrow it over. And it says that they should be about 0.8 inches apart. So I guess I'll use a dimension line and determine that. I'm going to go center to center, and I want the distance between these to be 0.8. So let's move it over till it's 0.8, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, or about 0.8. Oh, 0.8. All right. And now I'm going to delete this dimension line. I'm going to select this one and this one as well. So I'll select both of these like that. And I'm going to snap it to the midpoint. And that's fine. So now I'm just going to cut that and cut that. And I have, looks like a little car kind of a thing. Yeah, so that part looks about right. Make sure all your dimension lines are deleted. And red and group it and red hairline everything. Control G and make sure it's all red hairlined, which it should be. And this is all done. So I can put that in my done pile here. And then the last thing, it says for the cradle, we are going to start with a rectangle. So I'm down here now. Start with the rectangle that is 1.5 by 1.0. Start with a rectangle that is 1.5 by 1.0. All right, and it says the 0.12 by 0.22 slot at the top needs to be mid-pointed and flush. This is the exact same thing we did with that previous one. So I'll do another rectangle, and it says 0.12 by 0.22. So 0.12 and 0.22, enter, and then I'm gonna zoom in on this thing. I'm gonna grab it by this thing here. I don't want to stretch it. I don't want to stretch it. But I want to grab it, and I'm going to snap it to the edge until I get to midpoint. And then I'm going to slice that, bloop, like that. All right. It's flush and mid-pointed. All right. See, make a 1.25 by 1.25 circle and bury it into the opposite side of the slot. Not too deep, less than halfway. Leave enough room, enough wood to keep the part from strong. Okay, so we're going to draw a circle that is 1.25 by 1.25. We can do that. So we'll go 1.25 by 1.25. That's an important dimension. Don't mess that one up. Because the size of the circle is going to fit the the generator. Okay, so I'm going to grab it by the center and I'm going to snap it to here, but that's going to leave not very much wood. I don't want it to be weak, so I'm going to actually drop it down a little bit and just kind of create a bit more strength here, a bit more wood. So maybe about like that. So it's not midpoint, it's kind of down a little bit, but that looks about right. So now I'm going to slice that and slice that. And there we go. You may use 3-point curves to create a pleasing shape. I like a pleasing shape, so I'm going to do that because I want my tower to look, or my turbine to look cool. So I'm going to go like this and create a little, whoa, I missed that one up. I don't know where to go. I'll try that. I'll try midpoint to somewhere in the middle of that and go about like that. And actually, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to copy paste this because I want the other side to be exactly the same. I want to be perfect. So I'm going to do Control C, Control V, and arrow this over. But I have to mirror it. So I'm going to mirror it right there. And now I can arrow it over until I get to the other side. Or if I want to do quicker, I can drag it over here. And I can snap this. So grab this by that node, and I can, gonna be a pick tool. Grab it by this node and bring it over until it snaps to the edge, until that other one snaps to the edge, right? And now I can delete those two, delete these two, and it looks perfect. Okay, there is the cradle. So make sure your dimension lines are all gone and make sure it's red hairlined. Control G to group it. So it's one part. It's really important to group everything. And then it says that simply copy paste the grouped cradle and move the copy one away from the original. You will need two. So let's do Control C, Control V. And remember that the pasted one goes right on top. And there they are. All right. Look at us go. All right, when done, make sure everything fits into the 6x6 area. You can nest objects into each other to save space if you need to. So let's get everything out and let's just pull things in one at a time. We'll start with the bigger parts. So I'm going to bring in my base first and set it there. I don't want to go too close to the edge, right? I want to make sure I stay away from the edge a little bit. Give a bit of wood space around there. All right, now I'm going to use the tower. That's the second biggest one. And drag that in. I think I can kind of sneak it right in there. Get as close as I can to that. And then this little guy, I can, I think I'm going to just rotate him a little bit. Oop. And now I can move him into that little gap. And then this thing I can set here. And this one, I probably just need to rotate it 180 degrees. And I think I can now sort of sneak it in here a little bit. Let's see. Nope. Let's move that up a little bit. And then maybe I can move this up enough to get away from the edge. If you want to, if you feel like, I just don't have enough room, you can take a part, let's say like that, and set it inside somewhere. So maybe it's going to go in there like that. And it's just going to be a little bit of a cutout, which is fine. But, you know, we don't want to put too many parts inside something or there just won't be as much wood. It'll get kind of weak. But one of these is fine. That works pretty well. Or you could, you know, place this one in there and this one maybe you can sneak out here somewhere and find a spot for it. You get the idea. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that because I think that looks good. Okay, so now everything is all set. I've got enough kind of a rim of like scrap wood space around here. Nothing is overlapping. I've got my base, my tower, my rubber band thing, and then the two cradles. So I've got all the parts. The last step is go to File and save it into your computer. Save your completed one on your computer. And then you're going to do File Save As, and you're going to click on this PC and scroll down to CTE Student Data and put it in the inbox for your correct period. The last thing you're going to want to do is take a screenshot of this for your portfolio. It can go into the CAD area of your portfolio or the laser cut area of your portfolio. And then you can go ahead and head to the laser and laser it out. All right, I hope that everything went well and that you end up with a really cool wind turbine.